I'm Kendrick with HCU Sports, and I'm here with Bethune-Cookman head baseball coach Jonathan Hernandez. His team is coming off a very thrilling SWAC championship game win on Sunday over Florida A&M. That's the program's first SWAC championship and first bid to the tournament since 2011. Coach, thanks for joining me. And what have the emotions been like these last 72 hours since you guys won on Sunday?
Man, it's been a whirlwind of emotions, obviously with everything getting ready, such a quick turnaround, heading into the Tallahassee Regional against three quality opponents. Just, happy for all of our guys, happy for our student athletes, happy for our assistant coaches, administration. And the biggest thing is for our university, being able to provide some positivity into the university as the, year kind of comes to an end. And we're excited about getting back to the regional for the first time since 2017.
All right, cool. I want to go back to this game on Sunday, particularly in the last three innings. You guys were trailing for the second half of the game. You guys fought back to go within two runs in the ninth. But how big of a deal was it for you guys to see the same pitcher in Carson Kelly for FAMU more than once throughout that game? I know he pitched like 8 innings through nearly 100 pitches. Did you guys think that was an advantage going into the ninth inning, having seen him so much throughout that game?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, right? I think anytime that you're able to see a pitcher multiple times, you get more comfortable as the at bats, go, and as the more pitches that you see. So, our guys took advantage. I mean, we've talked all year about winning the back third, and we've had 24 come from behind wins this season. And I think that the workload through the entire regular season led us to that one moment in the bottom of the ninth inning to capture our first SWAC championship.
And how confident were you in Andre Martinez, who was the SWAC co-hitter of the year, to come through in that situation?
Very confident. Andre at that point was one home run shy of tying the school record. And, we knew that if we got it turned over, to the top half of our lineup, that they were going to come through. And sure enough, right, I think it was a 2-0 count. It was a pitch that was left up, and Andre did what he needed to do. He took a really good swing. And, for us, it led us to an opportunity to celebrate and, acquire our first SWAC championship. So very confident, not only in Andre, but as, the offense as a whole and the team as a whole. And if you look at it, 7, 8, 9 were named to the all tournament team, and our 9-hole hitter was a tournament MVP. So that speaks to the volume of the overall depth that we have, schedule, and it leads to one moment. And I think every kid dreams about in their backyard, right, hitting a walk-off home run to win a championship. And, for a guy, that came from, Colombia, to have an opportunity to study abroad, right, and get his education taken care of, especially here at Bethune-Cookman, coming from a junior college program here in Florida. I think all the emotions just kind of hit him at once, just the realization that with one swing, he propelled our baseball program to the first regional since 2017.
Yeah, it was a really neat moment for him and for your program. You keep mentioning the first time you guys would be back in the tournaments in 2017. It's been a long road to get there for you and your program. How did that all kind of shake out? How were you able to get the program back to the level of a tournament team?
Man, you know what? It's been a long time coming. When I first got here in 2018, it's documented we didn't have a really good year. And that was fine, especially after coming out of the success in 2017 that the program took University of Florida to the championship game and the regional that year. And, University of Florida ended up winning the national championship. So, when I first arrived in the fall of 2018, I knew the expectation and what the standard was. And it was just trying to get our program back to being relevant again, in at the time at the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference and now in the Southwestern Athletic Conference. So, for it's just been a lot of hard work, just putting the head down and just grinding out and just bringing in, the right student athlete that's going to fit our program. Right. And, for us, we want to be the first HBCU baseball program to win a regional. And that's what's at stake this weekend. But everything's been a process, every year that I've been at the tournament as a head coach, I learned something new, and I think that those experiences paid off. This past week in Birmingham, Alabama.
So when did you know that this particular team you had this year had the potential to not only win the SWAC but move on to a regional?
I think it was at the midpoint of the year. We went on a really good run, and even our midweek games that were close. Outside of maybe one or two, maybe three midweek games that got out of hand for us. I mean, we were in every game. And it took some time, right? You get new guys every year, and you spend the fall with them, but you really don't know what you have until you compete against somebody else, right? So I think midway point of the year, it was a situation where, hey, I think we have a team that has the opportunity to really do this. I do think that the turning point of our program was while we were at UAPB. We that was the first series loss that we had, but in that game, our Friday starter went out with an injury in the sixth inning on Friday. Our Saturday starter, we had to pull out right before the game started, just as a precaution with some shoulder issues or whatnot. And then the weekend after against Alabama State, where we swept them at home, where we had different guys that had to step up. And I knew that that was a turning point. That was okay. Here we go. Like, we've got some special here where you have guys that needed to step up, did step up in a really good way, and kind of propelled our program to, our SWAC championship run.
Right, and one of those midweek games was against Florida State. You guys played them tough. They'll be your regional opponent coming up this weekend. What can you take away from that experience against Florida State early in the year that you can carry into that game this weekend?
I mean, just the overall confidence that we can compete with the best. Here in Florida, right? College baseball is really, really good. And I think that just the confidence. The guys have been at Mike Martin Field with 4, 5, 6,000 people. For us, there's not any pressure on us, right? Like, everyone has counted us out already, and the regional hasn't even started. So you just go in with a plan of attack. You stay true to who we are as a baseball program and our philosophies. And if we're able to execute, we'll be okay. And it's about competing at the end of the day. So, what better way, right, than to do something special right here in Florida, at the Florida State Regional. But let me tell you, that's a really good team. Coach Jarrett does everything the right way. I mean, it's a tough regional. You have Northeastern, who has the nation's, longest winning streak right now. And you have Mississippi State, which you can never count on an SEC team, wherever you're at. So, for us, it's just controlling our pulse and our heartbeat, not so much our emotion, right? If we're able to slow the game down and breathe and just take it all in and not shy away from who we are, then, I like my chances, or our chances.
How much does it help you have a deep rotation, a deep bullpen, and a deep lineup going into that regional?
I think it helps. I mean, it starts with pitching, right? Pitching and defense, right? And that's one of the things where we built this roster year in and year out, is to make sure that we have, 15, 16 quality arms, right? That are going to be able to give us quality innings and, feel good about it, even with, the injury to Tanner Bocabello, who could have been a pitcher of the year candidate, or was a pitcher of the year candidate, out with injury. And I think if our lineup kind of gets through, there's no breathing room. I've seen it firsthand, where there's no breathing room once it gets going. So just having a deep bench, having, a deep bullpen, and a really good starting rotation in the starting lineup, it's exciting, that's for sure.
You talk about the bottom of your order, coach, as being kind of the catalyst to you guys winning the SWAC tournament. Like, going into a situation as a regional, as you guys are going this weekend, like, how much does that give you confidence you can, like, lengthen the lineup? You can have guys run through now contributing for you.
It's huge. I think that if we give you the starting lineup, the start of Wednesday, with everyone's statistical numbers, I think 7, 8, 9 is not even a thought, right? But that speaks to the overall depth of the guys that we do have in our lineup. 7, 8, 9 all made the tournament team. Our 9-hole hitter was our MVP of the SWAC tournament. So it just speaks volumes to the overall depth that we have. And I mean, it's scary. It's like I said, once everyone gets rolling, there's no breathing room. So just excited about the opportunity that's at hand, and just very happy for all of our guys at the end of it.
So what's going to be the key for you guys going into the regional in terms of, like, how you want to play the game? I know in these situations, a team from a smaller conference goes to a place like Florida State or one of these big time regionals. In the first couple of innings, they're a little bit nervous, especially on defense. They make some errors, pitchers may walk some guys. So how do you kind of make sure your players have their emotions in check going into this big time tournament?
Just got to breathe, take a deep breath, soak it all in. After the first pitch, that's it. Let's get ready to go. We just got to stay true to who we are, and I have the utmost confidence in our guys that we have a unique opportunity to represent Bethune, the SWAC, and HBCU baseball as a whole, on the national stage. So, I think for them, it's just slowing the pulse down, controlling the heartbeat. Just take a deep breath. It's the same game we've been playing all year. The only thing that changes is we're at a different venue. And that's kind of the biggest message that we've relayed to our guys. We're enjoying it. We had a good run at the SWAC tournament, but now we flip the page and we get ready for business.
Yeah, you guys come into the tournament winning 37 games, which is close to a program record. Did you imagine when you took the job over in 2018 that, like, you would get to nearly 40 wins in the season?
That's one of our goals as a program. 39 wins is the program record, and that was set by Coach Melendez. When he was here, and that's a number that for us we don't shy away from, because we want to continue to elevate our program, and as our program continues to evolve and grow, and develop, those are attainable goals that we're able to have. And you look back at the course of the season, one game maybe we make an extra pitch, or we get a bunt down, or we make the routine play. That's the difference from 37 wins to 40 wins. So it's attainable, and it's something that we look forward and we hit on, straight up. We don't shy away from it. And that's, again, when I took over the program, it was to be a perennial power in the Southwestern Athletic Conference.
Yeah, and for you personally, like I talked to you a few years ago when you just was on this run of trying to get Bethune-Cookman back to where it is now, and you mentioned during the 2020 season they kind of like wiped everything out for everybody due to COVID. You went on furlough and you had to pick up a delivery job. How much did that experience in 2020 kind of help shape the way you viewed the game of baseball and developing players and just kind of like your place in this whole thing?
It definitely gives me a different perspective of not taking any day for granted. Not to say that I did before, but in 21, when we opted out and I was furloughed, I had to go work for Amazon, for 8 months out of the year while everybody else in the country was playing baseball. So, it definitely did give me a different appreciation, a different perspective where, tomorrow is not guaranteed and this thing can get taken away from you in a heartbeat. So, I wear that on my sleeve every day, with an opportunity to represent Bethune-Cookman. I don't take that lightly, because I know in just like that, it can get taken away. And that's something I preach to our guys too, is take every moment for what it is. And, don't look ahead to tomorrow, because you're only guaranteed today, and make the most of today. And then you wake up tomorrow, you do it all over again.
All right. And my last thing for you, Coach, before we get out of here, how close do you think is a black college baseball team from making a run in the tournament, winning that regional, going to the super region, going to the College World Series? Like, what's going to take for a team from our league to make that jump?
We're not that far away. Again, the head coaches do a really good job of developing their programs, developing their players. It comes down to maybe some financial resources, right, that are different from the bigger schools to teams that are in the Southwestern Athletic Conference and HBCUs as a whole. But I mean, we're right there. We're knocking on the door. Alabama State beat Auburn. Southern has taken care of LSU. We've got a Power Four win against the University of Miami. There's been instances where teams are that close, and it's right there for us. We just got to continue to develop our programs and continue to recruit the student athletes. It's going to do well on the field for us, and we're right there, man. Like, I'm so happy with how competitive the SWAC conference baseball tournament was, and that speaks volumes of all the teams in our program that are continuing to elevate their brand of baseball.
Oh yeah, most definitely, for sure. I know FAMU, they had won a good run for a couple of years. Grambling last year, they won the SWAC tournament and played tough in their regional last year too. So black college baseball is definitely one sport I think that could really have some success in a tournament moving forward. And your team, Bethune-Cookman, that they've been one of the better teams, not just this season, but like historically in black college baseball. So I think pretty sure in a few years from now, there's going to be a team like yours who makes a run in a tournament.
Exactly. And again, it just, we got to just continue to develop and evolve our programs. But I'm most confident, any one of our programs in the Southwestern Athletic Conference have an opportunity to win a regional. That's for sure.
Well, I know everybody on our end is rooting for you guys to have success this weekend in the Tallahassee Regional. Check them out on Friday. First pitch, 3 o'clock against Florida State. Coach, good luck, and thanks for joining us.
Appreciate you. Thank you very much, Kendrick. Hail Wildcats.
All right, no problem.
All right.